Welcome to T-Smack, home of the T-Smack. May I take your order?
Hello there, and welcome to an all-new episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more. I am your host, Josh Scar, and joining me, as always, is my wonderful sidekick, Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
You know, I am happier than a black tie event at a circus. Just a fantastic day over here. What about you, sir?
I'm happier than a psychiatrist and their silk sheets.
Oh,
or I should
boy.
say I've been anticipating this recording since, how would I work that into anticipation? I'm as excited for this episode as a psychiatrist lying in bed in their silk sheets. I don't know.
Oh, boy, yep.
We're here this week to talk Batman Forever, man. This is one that is part of our nostalgia-thon. Basically, we're continuing to celebrate movies that are 30 plus years old this year. We're going to obviously do other things throughout the next few weeks. But this one was one that, especially once I learned that this was 30 years old, I'm like, we got to do it. We did Power Rangers last week. This was a big one for me. I was 10. There's so many things happening with this movie, and the internet likes to say that this is the start of a downward trend, and I have some arguments to make about that, but we'll just hold on to that until then. But Alex, how are you doing?
I already said I'm good.
I know you said you made a joke. How are you?
No, I'm good. I've had a busy day. I actually, before this, I had just finished playing a board game I had wanted to play for 10 years, and we actually played it. It was so fun. It's called Fury of Dracula. No, Dracula's Fury? One of the two. And I was Dracula, and I conquered Europe by eating everybody.
Very nice.
Yes. What about you, in all seriousness? How are you, Joshua?
Oh, I'm exhausted. I mowed the lawn today. I did a bunch of laundry. Having 3 young kids, I did pretty much dishes in between when I was doing the laundry and mowing the lawn. Took care of the dog, as always, took care of the cats. It was a busy day. I'm tired, but I'm ready and excited to talk Batman Forever.
Oh yeah, I rewatched it, and this movie. I'm excited.
Well, now that we've gotten the pleasantries out of the way, let's hear from 2 very pleasant folks over in the UK. That is Dan and Dan over at Gaming Views. And when we come back, we're going to talk Batman Forever.
Welcome to the trailer for Gaming Views. Think of it as the demo level before the real action kicks off.
We're Dan, and every week we're bringing hot takes, breaking news, deep dives, and everything gaming related.
From the biggest headlines to retro classics, hardware breakdowns, and inside scoops on developers, we cover it all.
So level up your gaming knowledge, subscribe to Gaming Views wherever you get your podcasts, and don't miss out.
Definitely check out the Dans over at Gaming Views. It's it's not part of Casting Views. It's a spin-off of Casting Views, but you have to subscribe to a new channel to get Gaming Views. But if you're interested in talking video games, Dan and Dan are a couple of your guys that you should definitely be listening to. So Alex, Batman Forever, 1995. Val Kilmer takes over the role of Batman. Nicole Kidman comes in as the new Batgirl. Not Batgirl, but like a Bond girl, but Batgirl. But not Barbara Gordon, or in Batman and Robin's case, Barbara Freeman. I don't remember even what Barbara Pennyworth. She's Alfred's niece in Batman and Robin for some reason.
Yeah.
And she's also not a redhead. She's Alicia Silverstone, which is fine, but she should be a redhead. But you can't have 2 redheads. I'm getting off track because I'm talking Batman and Robin. Batman Forever. Where do you want to start with this movie? Because honestly, my opinion on this movie is that it is absolutely fine. I enjoy this movie. I think Tommy Lee Jones is a treat. I think Jim Carrey is doing Jim Carrey things. Nicole Kidman maybe only ever looked better in Moulin Rouge. I don't hate Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson. I think the only thing I really don't like about his portrayal is that he is a 30-year-old man pretending to be a 19-year-old, like very obviously 30 years old. He might have been like 24, 25, but he is still very old looking. And they're like, oh, Dick Grayson, college student. That sounds better to me than a crime fighter. And even if they wanted to age up Dick instead of him being 10, 13 years old and somewhere in there when his parents die, I get it, because you can't have a child actor on set that long for legal reasons.
Yeah.
But the changing of Dick's origin story to at least age him up is probably one of my biggest gripes of the film. And I don't even hate the karate laundry. I think that is clearly something that just comes out of the popularity of Power Rangers. They're just like, kids like kung fu and karate. Let's show off how skilled he is by doing this thing. So I do not hate this movie. I really enjoy it. And I think Batman and Robin is more fun, but this movie is fine. Like, I think personally, I enjoy it a little bit better than like Batman Returns, but it's almost like apples and oranges, because while this is trying to continue Batman Returns and Batman 89, it is starting to pivot towards just, we're making this James Bond where the actor gets recast, or the main character gets recast. It's more about the villains, and we're just going to go nutty and crazy with it as we can.
Yeah. So I have vague memories of seeing Batman 89 in theaters. Like, I know for sure I saw Batman Returns, but I have no recollection of that in theaters. I have recollection of that on VHS and at home. I remember seeing Batman Forever in theaters. And to me, as a kid, it's just one continuity, because whoever Batman is just Batman. So I'm not even sure I was aware of the change of actors, but I remember distinctly loving it as a kid. And of course, everybody and their grandmother was making out. Not as me, I was a child, but adults and stuff were making out to "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal. Because that song was
that the
like,
Batman Forever soundtrack, or was that Batman and Robin? No, maybe you're right. It was Batman Forever.
It is definitely Batman Forever. Yeah. U2 had one, and "Kiss from a Rose."
Okay.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah. And I rewatched it on Thursday because it'd been a long time since. I mean, I as a kid, this was on repeat. It's Batman Returns, and this were on repeat. I distinctly remember with Batman and Robin was the first time I ever walked out of a movie theater going, "What?" Like, it's a seminal moment in which I was confused and disappointed by what I had watched. And that just made like my head hurt, and I didn't understand what was going on. But this movie, it's still fun. However, I completely blanked. I did not realize that this was a Tim Burton production. Like, because of whatever happened between him and Warner Brothers, that he still got like a producer credit on this, because they took like parts of his script.
I think it was because he was making that Superman movie with Nicolas Cage, Superman Unchained, I think, something to that effect. But
yeah.
they were gonna make those interconnected, because they even name dropped Metropolis in the movie, and so they were gonna kind of have a connected universe in a way, at least with Batman and Superman. But that obviously never came to fruition once the Superman movie fell apart. But please continue.
Now, as an adult, I know there's like more behind the scenes stuff, like. Warner Brothers was mad because he went super dark with Batman Returns, and apparently McDonald's was upset that like, hey, we made all these like children's toys and this movie's like dark. So they took his script for the third Batman movie, moved him on to Superman, and changed a bunch of stuff. Like, one of the big things, which I'm always am shocked about, is Marlon Wayans was supposed to be Robin, and Marlon Wayans would have been about 21. So he would have looked younger, and we would have had him as Robin. But they went with 25, desperately trying not to appear 30, Chris O'Donnell, which that's the part that just takes me out of this every time.
The earring doesn't help.
No,
That just makes it look like he's a 30-year-old trying to be young. He's Steve Buscemi in Parks and Rec. Hello, fellow young people.
Yeah. But watching it, I was pleasantly surprised to see early CGI holds up. A lot of special effects still look great. The sets look great. It looks beautiful to, it looks beautiful to look at, especially with all those neon colors and what they're going for. And I have memories especially after with Batman Begins and stuff like that. They're like, oh, they're going super grounded because it was just way too camp, and Batman and Robin was way too camp. This movie's dark. Two-Face kills his own guys a lot. There are rockets. He's gunning them down, trying to shoot Batman. He's blowing things up. That scene of him like getting his face covered in acid it's gross. Yes, there is a lot of levity of like, oh my god, it's boiling acid, my glasses. And
that guy is the guy that I very distinctly remember. Even as a kid, I was like, this guy needs to shut up.
But overall, it's fun, but it's dark. Tommy Lee Jones, of course, everyone's heard the story of like he and Jim Carrey didn't get up along on set. Like he apparently walked up to Jim Carrey at one point and is like, I can't stand your buffoonery, because he was kind of upset that he was getting like he was like second fiddle to Val Kilmer as now Batman, Jim Carrey's the Riddler, and I am Two-Face. But Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face is hamming it up.
He's carrying his own weight. Yeah,
yeah.
And Jim Carrey did an interview about their grief for Tommy Lee Jones' animosity towards him, where I guess Dumb and Dumber opened up against like Tommy Lee Jones' passion project in the 90s. Like this was like his movie, and Dumb and Dumber just buried it to the point where no one even knew it came out. And so Jim Carrey kind of felt like there was maybe some animosity and jealousy just because Tommy Lee Jones released this passion project, and here comes Jim Carrey in his first year in movies, and he gets buried by this doofus in his comedy movie. So like he just I think Tommy Lee Jones is like at a diner, and Jim Carrey like saw him. He's like, hey buddy, what's up? Tommy Lee Jones is like apparently just like shaking in rage of like, I want to punch this guy's fucking head off. And according to Jim Carrey in the podcast interview that I heard this on, he like decided to sit down and be like, let's talk this out. And the server came and did some stuff, and Jim Carrey like invited himself to sit down for the meal. And Tommy Lee Jones like got up, shook his hand, pulled him close, and said, I cannot sanction your buffoonery. It's like that was his response. That was his response to Jim Carrey being like, whoa, man, what's going on? And like Tommy Lee Jones like excused himself essentially after that. And so Jim Carrey's just like, I don't know. Like he just really did not like me for reasons. And apparently the very next day, according to the interview that Jim Carrey gave, the very next day after that happened, they filmed the scene where Riddler invades Two-Face's Fortress of Solitude for the first time.
That's hysterical.
But I agree wholeheartedly that Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, he understood the assignment that was happening with this movie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I legitimately want to know if he's having fun or if he is just that great of an actor that he's hamming it up that much. And he's just like, this is so fucking stupid, but I'm going for it. That's one thing I would love to ask him.
Oh, that would be great to know, because he has some very interesting little monologues where he's going back and forth, like just over the top as himself, referring to himself as us and things like that. The movie really does a great. I actually really love what they did with the makeup. Is it cartoonish, over the top? Like half of his face is Freddy Krueger, and the other half is like just him. But the way they do the hair, the double suits, I love his lair. Like I want to know what Drew Barrymore was thinking at this time in her life, where she's just like, you know what, I'm just going to be in a Batman movie and I'll be in the beginning of Scream.
Well, I actually looked that up because I forgot that she was in this movie, and then I saw her in the opening credits, and I had the thought, how old even is she in this movie? She was 20 years old when this movie released in 1995.
She was 20?
So that means she was probably filming this when she was like 18 and a half, 19.
Huh.
Which, I mean, this was released in 1995, which means they were probably filming in 92, 93.
Yeah.
Because it took forever to edit and get the special effects in there.
Yeah, because she was coming off of things like movies like Poison Ivy. She had a bit part in Wayne's World 2, Bad Girls. She had 3 movies in 95, the cameo in Spring in 96. So she was still finding her feet as an adult actor. She didn't. It wasn't until 97 that she had The Wedding Singer and Ever After and Home Fries all together, and then Never Been Kissed and stuff. But yeah, that's interesting because she's playing Sugar and Debbie Mazur is playing Spice, which it took me forever to realize that's Debbie Mazur from, I would know her best as Beethoven's second, as one of the bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting to look her up because I feel like she's done in so much makeup that it's hard to recognize her from other roles.
Yeah. You have to wait for the credit roll. But they do everything with Two-Face really well which is also another thing. They recast Two-Face with Tommy Lee Jones when it had been Lando Calrissian in, was it Batman Returns?
He was even in the original Batman. Like Tim Burton had a plan to have William December Williams, Billy D. Williams. He had plans to make him Two-Face at some point in his trilogy, and Warner Brothers just went, well, he's not black in the TV show, in the animated series that we're doing now. We can't have a black man be Harvey Dent going forward. So they just recast him unceremoniously, which sucks for Billy D. But I don't know that he could do what Tommy Lee Jones did. I would love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe his suaveness of Lando could really come out in the Harvey side, but I don't know what he would do in the Two-Face side. And that would be really something that I'd be interested to see in a different timeline where Tim Burton directed this. But
I would love to see that.
I got to give Tommy Lee Jones credit where it's due, because he is, as I said, he understood the assignment. He crushed it, and he held his own against Jim Carrey. Arguably, I think he did a better comedic job than Jim Carrey did. Like, Jim Carrey was just let loose, and he was just overly Jim Carrey. Like, he was doing a lot of face acting, but I don't know that a lot of what he was doing and saying was really funny. Like the whole destruction of the Batcave scene with the duckies and all that. The duckies are a funny gimmick, but everything else he's doing is, at least now, feels kind of dated and not hilarious.
So when it comes to Jim Carrey, who's coming off of like a banner year with, his breakout stuff, and he gets this role and makes bank with it, because he had Ace Ventura and Mask, I think, in 93, 94.
No, he had all three. He had in 93, I think he debuted with The Mask, and then he had Ace Ventura, maybe it's flipped, and then it was Dumb and Dumber in like November. It's like spring, summer, and November was either Mask or Ace Ventura in either one. And then he closed out the year with Dumb and Dumber, and then he rolled into 1995 with The Riddler.
That's an impressive year and a half. So I think he works in when he's Nigma at the beginning, where he's just this fawning, clingy psycho, like obviously going to have a mental break. I liked that part, especially that part with Bruce and the boss in the beginning, where he's trying to pitch this invention that he's going to talk to Bruce right now. And then that great interaction where he's like, you personally hired me. He's like, at least that's what it says on my checks. It's some great, just kind of uber clingy ness. And especially that I really like that kind of personality is fully explored in Cable Guy that comes out, 2 years later, something like that. I do think that once he's allowed to go full Riddler, you lose that through line, because he is allowed to just camp, and you get a little bit of that back. Like my wife and I were watching, and she pointed out that when there's that big ballroom scene of unveiling the box 2 that can now like project your fantasies, that when he's talking to Sugar and he bought the same suit as Bruce. And then when Bruce like puts on his glasses to like look at something and talk to him, he then puts on glasses and they're exact same ones. There's still that.
Yeah. There's nice little touches like that.
Yeah. There's that clinginess, that impression that I don't even know how to be a rich guy. I have to be that rich guy. And I think that really works. But when it's like you said, the Batcave, as a kid, loved it. As an adult, I'm like, this is a little long. And why is Intruder Alert turn on the car and the stereos? Why does it bring out
well, that part confused me as well, because when Chris O'Donnell falls in, like maybe Alfred triggered it and it was already on the way up, because Alfred was like on the gantry. But when Chris O'Donnell falls in, when he finally breaks through and does a big acrobat into the Batcave, like, it goes intruder alert, and all of that comes up. And then with this one, when the Riddler pulls in, the intruder alert goes off. He's like, whatever, shut up. And then he hits a button on his thing, and then all the stuff comes up. So again, I'm wondering if maybe there's just like an implication that Alfred was already calling that stuff up when Dick came through.
Okay.
And then maybe the same thing where Riddler just had an EM that could pull all that stuff up when he hit the button. It's a dumb movie.
Yeah.
So like, it's one of those things where you're looking for logic where there wasn't any. They just needed to make sure that it was conveyed to everyone that, oh, he has now figured out that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
No, I like that scene. I actually really like that party scene of how they trick Bruce into giving up some of his secrets, and for, hey, if there's one rich dude in Gotham who's thinking about bats, he's got to be Batman. I like all that part. I think that's fun. I like that the invasion of the manor. I think that's really great as well. The part that I actually really like were him as the Riddler is at the end, when they show him like downloading everybody's memories, and it's just having this effect where he's now addicted to it, and there's too much to him. Like, I actually really did like that part where he's threatening Batman, and he goes, if knowledge is power, then a god am I, and they add that really deep baritone because he's starting to just trip and lose what little sanity he has left. But when he's just allowed to be himself, I didn't particularly like it. It felt superfluous. I know why they're hiring Jim Carrey. They're hiring Jim Carrey because they want him to be manic, do his own thing, have his moments. But I was more impressed with him as Edward Nygma than I was really as the camp Riddler.
I think that's a fantastic point. The Edward Nygma side of the portrayal is pretty classic Riddler stuff. When he's in the Riddler costume, that part is very much just let Jim Carrey go ham and do his thing. I will say the one joke that really just still works for me is when Two-Face and Riddler are teaming up and they're doing their big heists, and they're in the middle of one, and he goes, "Hey, Two-Face, show me how to punch a guy."
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I like that part, that little montage. I also like the part where he's trying to count up the money and he loses track. I love that, especially because both him and Two-Face are just dolled up with jewelry that they've stolen, and like Tommy Lee Jones
66.
Yeah, and Tommy Lee Jones is just laughing like manically while like wearing a tiara or something. I'm like, this is great. This is just great, quick narrative building. This is showing, hey, they are rich as heck. They're having the time of their lives. Another part that I actually really do like about Tommy Lee Jones is when they break into Wayne Manor and his bad guys are attacking everybody. He's sitting down frustrated because his coin is not allowing him to kill Bruce. I like that moment. I think there's a little bit of a cheat because in my opinion, a more comic accurate Two-Face would probably have accepted you flip the coin. It didn't work, but he's just there flipping. Darn. Looks over, his bad guys are still doing things, flips again. And then finally he gets it. You know?
Yeah, that's another really great point is that Two-Face, if he's being more comic accurate, he accepts the outcome whether or not he likes it. So if the coin comes up on the one moment, like he doesn't just keep flipping it till he gets the result he wants, or he's like, oh well, it's a different. I had a different train of thought. Now I'm going to do it again. Like that's more just what I think really could have benefited is that power in numbers. Two-Face's goons overpower Bruce and Chase, and he knocks them out after they get taken over, and they pull him back downstairs. Two-Face punches Bruce out. And then maybe he's like, hey, it's a new circumstance. I'm going to judge him again. And maybe like Riddler comes in from off screen and takes his coin, and then you move on. But it works for what the movie does, especially since they just they knock him out for a night.
Yeah.
But the villains work in this movie. Like I think Batman Forever is a big part of the narrative of people going, Batman's villains are more interesting than Batman. And I think, again, this movie works in that narrative's favor, because if I have a complaint about this movie, it's that Val Kilmer's Batman and Bruce Wayne are very flat. He does a really good job with the Batman voice, but if you took an audio file of him and just like watch the wavelength of that reading, it is the same throughout the entire thing. He conveys no emotion. He is just deadpanning the entire thing. Even when he's having an emotional breakthrough and he and Dr. Chase are talking through a repressed memory coming to the surface, he's just like, and now the thing is happening. I'm not doing the thing though, because the thing is happening, but I'm running and now I'm falling. But then like, it's just flat and monotone. There's no change in his portrayal of the character, even as like he has the revelation that he can give up Batman and he's going to reveal himself to Dr. Chase and all this stuff. And he's just like, tonight Chase is coming over and I'm going to tell her everything and we'll be married and live happily ever after. You sound very excited, Val.
Val Kilmer in this role is a very bizarre choice for him. He is a very intense actor. I think maybe the year before was Tombstone. No, that was 2 years before, in 93. And Tombstone, seminal, different podcast, but seminal movie, amazing movie. His Doc Holliday is fantastic. I've said since it, like, I'll be your Huckleberry, never quite understanding what the hell that means, but it is such a fun, intense movie, especially now that I've rewatched it as an adult, like maybe 2 years ago, around the time Val Kilmer passed away. I rewatched it. That movie's way darker as an adult than I like as a kid. As a kid, it's just like, hey, they're doing stuff. As an adult, I'm like, holy crap, that person probably has syphilis. Someone's cheating on somebody over here. These people are dying. I don't remember Ringo dying like that. But you're coming off a very intense person in Val Kilmer, and I don't know what attracted him to the role. Maybe he was looking to work with Burton and things got moved around or something. But Joel Schumacher,
I could really see it being the allure that Batman was being pitched as like the new Bond or the American Bond. And so he was like, okay, yeah. And Michael Keaton made a pretty good payday off of this. Why can't I?
Maybe he didn't work well with Joel Schumacher. I think Joel Schumacher as a director has a very incredible career. He did St. Elmo's Fire, Lost Boys, Falling Down, which that movie, if you want an intense movie, like getting stuff out of actors, I mean, what he got out of Michael Douglas and Robert Duvall and Barbara Hershey, fantastic movie there. The Client.
While praising Schumacher, I also have to praise his Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
I know people who are fans of the original Broadway will like crucify me, but that was my first experience to Phantom. Gerard Butler as the Phantom, like, you can't have that falsetto.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have that falsetto singing done in a theatrical release. Like, I think Gerard Butler does a really good job as the Phantom, and I think he was a wonderful casting choice because he brings a masculinity to the Phantom that maybe works really well on stage, but on screen, it's a very different narrative and perception. So I think what Joel Schumacher did was wonderful, and Emmy Rossum as Christine was great too.
Wonderful.
And I think all the set pieces worked really great. Schumacher gets a lot of shit for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. He was given his assignment, and I think he crushed both assignments.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that people really wanted more Dark Knight Returns, and he gave them more Batman 66.
A fun listen to is the Batman and Robin. He did the director's voiceover for commentary for it. And he basically he doesn't disown the movie. He disowns criticism of it because he's like, I gave the studio what they wanted. And every time I did, they said, oh yeah, more please. And I delivered to them, and then they threw me out, kind of thing. But in this movie, like, I don't know, like, why he wouldn't have been able to like get Val Kilmer to really work with him. But yeah, his Bruce and Batman are not great. There's really only two moments that I like his acting in it. The one is after Robin saves him from Two-Face would have just been able to actually kill him. Two-Face actually came up with a great trap and would have gotten him.
Yeah, they buried him alive, which that's one moment I wanted to bring up. You mentioned the CGI. Yeah. That fall from the top of the building, that is some amazing CGI for 1995.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot tell if that, like, maybe the area around him is CGI and they filmed someone just falling, or they blew a fan at someone. I don't know, but the camera work, the effect of that is great. You cannot, I cannot tell, at least when I watched the film, or I could not tell when I watched the film the other day, whether or not that was CGI over an actor or if it was a CGI character on a CGI environment, it is great visual effects.
Yeah, he leaps off of the top of the building to chase after Two-Face after that the big unveil of the Box 2 robbery. And yeah, when he leaps off and it follows him, like his cape flutters up briefly to slow him down, and then he tucks and goes into that chute. It's pretty much seamless in the camera work of just tracking it and and giving you the weight of like, because he opened his cape, the camera like goes briefly like past him and then hands up. It's great work. They had time to invest to like show off like we have our moments we're picking here, and they looked great. But when it comes to Val Kilmer, I like his speech with Robin when Alfred's patching him up after he almost died, because he actually does intensity. He's yelling at Robin, and he tells Robin's like, "So what is your plan?" He's like, "Okay, so you kill Two-Face, and then the void grows, and you kill another and another, and you're not happy." That was a good moment, but everything else is just kind of lost. He just treats. Maybe there's stuff in the director's cut that's been rumored to be floating around for a while that is lost, that's really emotional, like gives you the emotional core of where his Batman's supposed to be. But the Batman on the movie it's a nothing burger,
He's looking to get his dick wet. Like that, it's as simple as that. He shows up for that first mission, and Dr. Chase Meridian is like, "Oh, Lady Boner, yes, please, and thank you." And it's on from that point on. Like, she has no character other than I'm in love with Batman. Actually, I'm in love with Bruce Wayne. Like, that is her character arc, and it's pretty unspectacular.
Oh no. She's spectacular in this movie.
Oh, she is quite spectacular. As I mentioned, I don't know that she's looked better other than in Moulin Rouge.
We were watching it, and my wife, when they first introduce her, she's like, she's at the what is it, the bat symbol, having activated on her own, and my wife looks and says, "Is she just wearing a nightie?" And she's like,
"Oh, she's wearing a nightie corset." Yep.
Yeah, and she goes, "Was she just standing up there going, I hope I get fucked right now?"
She doesn't play hard to get.
No. And then she's like, "Kisses in my place, midnight." And then, yeah, they just cut to her, and they make sure that silk sheet is sheer enough that she's not wearing underwear. And the hair's perfectly draped, so when she stands up, it falls across her shoulder, so if any nipples accidentally pops out, the camera won't catch it.
So I had the thought when that scene happened, after she invited Batman over, I think it was at the Box 2 unveiling, like Batman makes his entrance. Another really great Jim Carrey line where he's like, "Your entrance was good, his was better."
Yeah, that was great.
I love that line. Batman like walks up to her, instead of, fighting the chaos that's happening, she lays a big one on him, and she's like, "My place, midnight." And then he goes over and makes out with her a little bit, and she's like, "Huh, no, actually my lady boner for you is gone. Sorry." But throughout that first half of the movie, when she's in love with Batman and like all the things she's doing and saying to Batman, my thought is, oh, she's Marina Baccarin in Deadpool without like the nuance of the character. Because Ryan Reynolds even makes the joke of like, "Oh, it's like almost like someone made you in a computer and you're perfect." Like, that's Nicole Kidman to a T in this. Like, she was written by a man to satisfy male desires, the male gaze, and that is all she's there to do. She's also there to teach us a little bit, because this movie did teach me as a 10-year-old what a Rorschach test is, or an ink blot test.
Yeah.
But I also have to say, she is the dumbest fucking psychiatrist in the world if she does not realize that ink blot is a bat. Because if there's one thing I will go to my grave with, that whole sequence where Bruce Wayne walks up to that ink blot test and goes, "Oh, you have a thing for bats?" And she goes, "That's a Rorschach test, Mr. Wayne, an ink blot." So I guess the question is, do you have a thing for bats? Lady, that is a fucking bat.
That is a bat. Now, Chuck,
if you made it a little more ambiguous, where like the wings are a little bigger, like almost make it like the Nightwing symbol or the Nightwing mask or a domino mask with like little edges, and then he goes, "Oh, is that a bat?" And she's like, "Oh, do you see a bat?" Make it a little more ambiguous, but like, no, that's a fucking bat.
Okay, I did look up. This does have 3 people credited with the screenplay, and 2 of the 3 who wrote the screenplay were story by. One of the story by and one of the screenplay by is the same person, and a woman did assist with the script a little bit. So maybe she wasn't in charge.
I think she was in charge of the bad boy line. Like, what is it about bad boys? In grade school, it's cigarettes. In high school, it's earring. Or no, maybe in grade school, it's earrings. Like,
Maybe, and now it's hard leather.
oh, hard rubber.
Hard
Excuse
rubber.
you.
Thank you, hard rubber.
Leather jacket. It was leather jackets, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
hard rubber. Like, I feel like rubber is worse than leather. Like, it's cheap.
She knew her assignment, though. I mean, according to one interview I saw, is that Nicole Kidman specifically said she took the role because she's like, I gotta kiss Batman.
Hey, that's fair.
Hey, you knew your role.
And she gets to slam Catwoman too. Like she puts Catwoman down. Like, oh, do I
Yep.
need to dommy mommy up and get in some leather and crack a whip?
Yes, please.
Yes, mommy, please.
So the suit didn't bother me as much as the internet complained about this suit. It didn't bother me. It actually looks good on it. It moves pretty well. It still has the issue where there's no articulation from the shoulders up, where he has to do these big spin moves and stuff. But
Yeah.
the suit didn't bother me. It's still a cool looking suit. It fits the lankiness of Val Kilmer very well. And the only really complaint I have about Robin's suit is when they introduce him. Dear God, who was in control of the codpiece of that suit? Because every scene he enters, it is codpiece first, and then the suit follows.
So I do have to say the people that wrote this script to introduce Robin, for the most part, not getting into the Chris O'Donnell casting, they knew their Robin history, because one of the names he throws out there is like what his sidekick name should be. He's like, oh, whatever, Storm Shadow, Nightwing, whatever you want to call me, whatever. And like they knew who Dick Grayson was from the comics, and they were paying a lot of reverence to the historical significance of Robin with a lot of the stuff that they're doing. I think, again, making him a 30-year-old, 24-year-old, that's bad, but it's 1995. They're not going to put a kid in the movie, especially because they don't want the implications of Batman being a pedophile, even though I feel like adopting a son is not as bad as adopting a 24-year-old who can't legally be adopted.
It's always so weird.
I think that's my biggest problem with this movie in general, is that he's over 18. He doesn't need legal guardianship. So he has no reason to stay other than Bruce bribing him with a historic edition motorcycle. Yeah, limited edition Indian motorcycle. But that's not really enough to make him your ward and your adopted son.
It is so weird.
For me, a large part of it is also like it's moot more than anything, because I do think that they really understood Robin as a character for the most part, as far as like what he does for Batman. And I do really appreciate, I don't want to say I love it, I appreciate the Holy Rusted Metal Batman.
I love that
But
line.
even the captions on HBO Max do not, and I would have to go and find my DVDs, because I want to know if they actually wrote it out properly, because they wrote holy like, oh my gosh, HOLY, but it should be HOLEY.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's full of holes, not that it is blessed. Or
yeah,
that's one thing that the captions really, I was like, oh, come on, guys. It's a play on words that they're trying to get away with, and you goofed the joke. Even when he says holy the second time. But I love that exchange where he's like, holy rusted metal, Batman. Batman goes, what? The metal, it's rusted and it's full of holes, holy. And Batman just goes, oh. Hey, like, moving on. That's the dumbest fucking thing you could have said to me right now. We need to assess our situation.
Yeah, I dig their. It should have been like someone who looks 16, but the antagonistic part of the relationship I actually do appreciate, and I do appreciate Alfred, which, by the way, they gave, was it Michael Gough? Is that how you pronounce his name?
It's either Michael Gough or Michael Go. Yeah.
They gave him nothing to work with in this role. He just sleepily moves around like Wayne Manor. He didn't have much bigger roles in Batman and Batman Returns. I believe it's the same actor.
Yeah, he's the carryover. He's the Q that, or like for the longest time, the Q or the M from the Bonds.
Oh, the commissioner is also the same commissioner too. That's right.
Yep, Commissioner Gordon, that Commissioner Gordon is useless. Like,
No, really.
I think he looks great, but he's there to serve the camp factor and just kind of show off like, oh, the cops are fat and dumb. That's why they need Batman.
His little moments where he puts Robin's suit in with the rest of the Bat stuff, and that's fine. He does fine, but I do like that Robin and Batman have this kind of conflict and then come together. And I'm sorry, the ending shot of the two of them running in front of the Bat signal and their cloaks billowing and the capes billowing, and then they cover up the camera to fade to black as they pass by with them like whipping them up. That still works. That still gets me pumped up.
They knew that one worked because they brought it back for Batman and Robin when they threw Batgirl into that trio.
Yeah, and so it works. This movie, it did well. It made a good amount of money for 1995. It was a huge hit. The song was a hit. They quickly greenlit a sequel.
Baby.
And if you want to complain that it wasn't as gothic as Tim Burton's, sure. I mean, I can complain about that. I of course would love to know what his third movie would have been about, because having Billy D. Williams be Two-Face, having Marlon Wayans as Robin, rumor is they were going to bring back Catwoman, and see what that trilogy cap off from Tim Burton, especially Tim Burton, early 90s. Still had his mojo, still knew, had a plan for three movies, what he was doing. I would have loved that. But for what we got for this pivot, it makes sense why it worked. It makes sense why it was huge. It made sense why, because everything was firing on all cylinders. And you know what? While Joel Schumacher didn't get the cut that he wanted, there's been rumors that about 20 minutes of more of Batman's like psychoanalysis is happening, because one of the first images
he has sex with a giant bat.
Yeah, because like one of the first things that one of the first promo images we got of the movie was Bruce standing in front of like a massive bat that's like 20-foot wingspan, and it said like still from Batman Forever, and that's not in the movie. There's a brief thing where they show a bat flying at him when he's having that not great flashback moment that Chase tries to talk him to, but there was apparently more there. And according to Kevin Smith, like the first 15 minutes is completely different. Like the bank heist doesn't happen until about 15 minutes in. So there's a lot of different things happening, but we still got a lot of Joel Schumacher, like a darkness that he wanted in there. Like that makeup at the end when the Riddler is defeated because he just took in all the brain stuff all at once, or Jim Carrey's face is all twisted and he's like wrapped up on the ground.
That was really jarring, even as a kid.
Disgusting. Oh yeah, it's horrifying. Like I mentioned earlier, Two-Face is just killing his own bad guys. There's explosions of rockets being fired at his own bad guys. Batman is kicking people off of things, throwing them through things. It's a nice bridge. I still enjoy it. It's still a good looking movie. They went too far with Batman and Robin, but for this movie,
we'll talk about Batman and Robin in about 2 years. One of the things I also really appreciate about this movie that Tim Burton could not have given two shits about is this Batman does not kill. You could argue he kills Two-Face in a way, but especially even in that opening sequence, he doesn't kill anyone. Like there's even a moment where a guy is about to fall down an elevator shaft. He grabs him and throws him back into the guy that's being like handcuffed by like some kind of electromagnet or something. But he does not kill anyone in this movie as far as I clocked.
Does he? No, you're right. He doesn't kill anybody. I thought he kicked that guy. No, because the guy down the shaft, that's from Batman, the first Batman movie where he like throws
in the bell tower.
Yeah, the bell tower. So no, you're right. He catches the guy going into the elevator and then throws him back into the thing. And other than maybe, kind of killed Two-Face. You're right. Like he's
really the cause of Two-Face's death, but Two-Face kind of kills himself because he has to freak out and go after his coin.
Which, by the way, I do love that resolution. I think that's a great resolution. That's kind of like Batman giving Robin what he wanted without actually taking a step to do it himself. Because Robin has his moment. That's another thing I actually really like. When Robin finally gets the time to go after Two-Face and he beats his ass because Two-Face is used to having his thugs do all the stuff, and Two-Face is going to fall onto the holy rusted metal. And Robin brings him back up, and Two-Face is like, "Thank you, son." You're like, "Oh, you know, he works him." He's like, "Yo, son, of course, you know, this is what was needed for me. I caused your family to fall. You're gonna get me all this stuff. Oh, son, you're so good." He's like, "You're such a good boy." Stupid boy. It puts a gun under his chin. But yeah, Batman went into that fight knowing he was probably going to have to use Two-Face's coins against him to get rid of him. That's the way I took that. And yeah, did he kill him? Nah. Did he assist? Kind of.
They foreshadow that as well, where Dr. Meridian Chase, Nicole Kidman's character, talks about how his coin is Two-Face's weakness, and Batman's like, "No shit, Sherlock."
Yeah.
But he seemingly hadn't quite figured out how to do it. And then once we got to this sequence, he had come up with a plan. But overall, I do think this is a solid Batman adventure. Like it's in line with what the comic books do. It's almost like an extended episode of Batman the Animated Series. The violence is minimal. There's not too much. I mean, like you said, Two-Face is killing a lot of his guys, but it's bloodless violence. Usually it's not happening on screen. Like you just see the gunfire, and then all of a sudden you hear a body thud, and then you see the feet, like the camera angle over between the feet looking back at him. It's a lot of implication of violence, but there's not a lot of actual violence happening on screen. And it's fun. It continues that trend, like I said, about how Batman's villains are kind of more interesting than Batman, but I think that's largely because the movies don't understand Batman and Bruce Wayne as much, but you also need to understand the villains. So I understand why they kind of like make Batman the James Bond stagnant character that he kind of is, and make the movies more about the villains, because Batman's villains are fun, like Spider-Man's. Like they're just iconic villains that you can't really do justice if you don't put them on screen more.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is tough to do a Batman trilogy because eventually you're going to have to let Batman heal. And we saw with Christopher Nolan's, that's not really what the audience wants. There was a lot of a gruff given about The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, some of it was they were just put in an impossible position where Heath Ledger died. What do we do? You know, we expected to go forward with this character, and you know, we got rid of Two-Face. You know, he's definitively dead. We're at his funeral. You know, so what do we do? And they went a direction I didn't particularly like it. I hate the ending. That bothers me so much. But you can't have a real emotional arc with Batman unless he heals and passes the torch. I don't know if there's many really people who really want to watch a Robin or a Nightwing movie. I mean, I would love a Batman Beyond movie. I love Terry McGillis. I think he's a fantastic character. His Rogues Gallery is such a fun spin. But for a third Batman movie and then going into a fourth, yeah, you have to keep Batman really stagnant. And I mean, if we're going to say, you know, like, how do we do, you know, like Spider-Man's villains are really, there's a strong Rogues Gallery. But what do you do with Spider-Man? Well, the MCU, literally every movie we have is he learns to become Spider-Man.
Now he's the Spider-Man, you know. Now he's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah. So what do you do? I mean, unless you're going to kill off Iron Man, there's not really an arc you can do. And I mean, that's what you want to argue is, how do you do an arc? Well, you do Iron Man's arc. Iron Man basically over 24 movies to Endgame. How was that? 20, something like that, to Endgame. We got an arc. I
think it was like 2025, something like that.
He became Iron Man. He became a drunk. He became the leader. He almost died. He became an asshole. He became a mentor.
Almost died. And then he died, yeah.
And then he really did die. Then you're stuck in the Thor situation where Thor is just Thor. And so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Batman being Batman. I need to see the damn pearls break every time? No.
Which again, hopefully we're skipping that, because supposedly going forward in the DCU, whenever we do get the Batman movie, which is, I believe it's still titled Batman the Brave and the Bold, it's about him and Damian Wayne, and it's going to be essentially just kicking off Batman with the Bat family already established. I watched episode 1 of Peacemaker, which, like, minor spoilers. There's mention of Bloodhaven, which is where Nightwing resides when Nightwing goes off on his own, or I should say when Dick Grayson goes off on his own. but they pronounce it Bloodhaven because there's an umlaut over the U. So even though comic book fans have been calling it Bloodhaven for forever, James Gunn has decided to go with like a real phrasing of how it should be said, just like he's done with Bel Rev, which was mentioned a few times in Superman, and they also mentioned a few times in Peacemaker. It's been pronounced Bel Rev in every iteration of DC, anything I've seen. But now they're going forward. They're like, oh, it's Bel Reeve because that's how it's spelled and how it should be pronounced. It's like, but is it?
So I'm cool with it. It's a good time. And one more thing I want to touch on is Elliot Goldenthal, who did the music. Great music. He takes Tim Burton's theme, he ramps it up a little bit. He does some joyful music with Robin. Every scene has some kind of new theme but also
yeah, you never know that Danny Elfman didn't come back for this.
No, it's beautiful music, and he is the director, composer who did Demolition Man, Interview with the Vampire, this movie, Time to Kill. Apparently, he really likes working with Joel Schumacher, and Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. They've done some great stuff, and you don't really realize it's not Danny Elfman, but you get triumphant, good music that just stirs the blood and makes you happy you're watching this.
Yeah, it makes it feel like you're watching a superhero movie. It's wonderful. Honestly, I say Batman Forever is a must see, even with all the things I've been complaining about with like Val Kilmer kind of being a stagnant, flat Bruce Wayne and Batman. I think everything else around him in this movie is just really fun. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, as long as you have fun watching a movie, it's time well spent. So must see.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours. It is a must see. I still think that the Batman '89 car is a better car.
Oh yeah, this Batmobile is a piece of shit. It looks like a really bad Nike shoe.
Yeah, but at the same time, it does look kind of cool roaring down the street. You get your first glimpse of the Batboat, which is dumb.
I think one of the first chase sequences we get, you can tell they're going like 15 miles an hour.
It's so bad,
and they just they just filmed it at like 10 frames a second or something to speed it up, but they still look like they're going so slow.
Yeah, the reveal of the bat plane is actually dangling from the ceiling like a bat is great.
And the wings unfurl, yeah.
Yeah, it looks great.
Which good. I do have to ask, he goes to Alfred after he gets his prototype suit, getting ready to go save Chase, and he's like, what do you think, Alfred, by sea or by air? But his air can become sea.
Yeah,
it can detach the wings and become a submersible. Take that one.
It will be great as it turns out after the Batboat got destroyed, it had like a little jet on it, so it actually lifted into the air too. they just switch places.
I mean, Batman has a contingency for everything, but I think the ejector seat was that one.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's a damn good movie, man.
Like I'm being a shit for the sake of being a shit, but that is a really weird logic gap of we need to set up that Robin's coming to help and he can do a thing to help. But I think the submersible would have been a really good thing considering there were fucking sea mines happening over there. Bruce, come on.
That is so dope. Why is Enigma's place? Why do they have it set up to play Battleship? So dumb.
I liked that.
Oh yeah, it's like, ooh.
If I ever had an opportunity to talk to Tommy Lee Jones, I'm sure he's answered these questions somewhere, but I really would just love to hear about his experience as Two-Face, Harvey Dent, because that to me is the gold standard of this movie. Like that's the highlight. Notwithstanding Nicole Kidman in the silk sheets, that's a different kind of shot. But Two-Face steals the show for me in this movie, even alongside Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I think Tommy Lee Jones is doing something really special in that moment, in his scenes and with that character. And I really just want to know, was he having fun? Or was he just doing the job and he was bringing his A game, even though he hated being there? And either way, I think it speaks to his character as an actor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because if he hated being there and he's still doing what he's doing, bravo. And if he went in there and he's like, I'm having fun, I have to sit in that makeup chair for 8 hours and get this prosthetic applied to me every day, I'm going to make the best out of this situation and I'm going to go put out the best fucking performance I can with what I'm given. Bravo. Either one is fantastic and I love it. And I will Tommy Lee Jones, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze. Those are like two of my favorite 90s Batman performances. Like Jack Nicholson as the Joker, you can have him. Give me Tommy Lee Jones or Arnold. I really do not care if either of them hated those roles.
Yeah.
I love them.
My issues with we're gonna have to do that in 2 years about Batman and Robin, but Arnold was not one of them. He wasn't.
I love it for just the outlandishness of it.
Oh,
like, apparently he's come out somewhat recently and has said that he did not really care for it. He was just doing what he was told to do.
Yeah.
But at least on screen, I feel like the fun he's having is palpable. And I think that's what I walk away from. Like, again, it feels like Tommy Lee Jones is having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
Or even if he's trying to one up Jim Carrey, I think he succeeds.
So Arnold's problem might have been like he had a few misses and then he took that role, a few like movie misses. And he also was in dire need of heart surgery, and he had heart surgery like right after they finished filming or something, because the scene where he like is defeated and like hands off like the vials of like, you know, take two, call me in the morning thing. That was filmed like after he got out of the hospital from his heart surgery.
Huh.
Like a day or two after. He talked about it, like I remember him talking about it on Jay Leno long ago. And Jay Leno Kids was a guy who used to host The Tonight Show. The Tonight Show is a show that
he was the Jimmy Fallon of the 1990s and early
Yes.
2000s. He sucked, but he was given a lot of money to be really shitty at his job.
Yeah, he was the man who made Conan O'Brien cry, in case you're But he talked about it. He's like, oh yeah, they wanted like a really vulnerable performance out of me, so they got me right as I was at the hospital to finish filming those scenes. And I'm like, no wonder you hate this movie. You needed heart surgery. Something was wrong with you. You weren't feeling great. They're telling you to do this crap. And it's like, yeah, I know you had surgery. We need you on set. We're going to put 80 pounds of like crap on your chest in this stuff just so you can get, and give, by the way, your best eulogy line and sell that call me in the morning line.
And probably lead-based body paint, but you know, don't worry about that.
Oh, Batman Forever. It was great. 1995. That was
this is a really good compliment to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as well. Like I could double feature these movies together and walk away having a really great 4 hours or 3.5 hours.
Oh yeah. Like as much as like by the way, listen to our commentary episode on Mighty Morphin Power
Thank you to
Rangers.
everyone who has listened to it. Like it's gotten some pretty okay numbers for us. Like I'm pretty happy that even so many people have taken the time to listen to us talk over a movie. And if any of you watched the movie with us, thank you.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I had a ton of fun doing it. That movie is better than we give it credit for. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. And this one too, like on revisit, I'm not mad at it. I don't understand why I liked it as a kid. And frankly, I liked them both as an adult. So suck it, haters.
And if you don't like Batman Forever, if you're a fan of Batman Forever and you want to join a community that enjoys things, God forbid, find us on our Discord. Alex, let everyone know about the Discord.
Our Discord is down below. It's tsmackpod@gmail.com. It's where you can find us. We post news as it comes out, give a little commentary on it, and interact and just have a good time.
And Matt will make really obscure jokes about the writer of Weapons and Barbarian that no one understands except for him. So
did not get that at all. And
no,
I was like,
nope. I never watched, was it The Whitest Kids You Know or Kids in the Hall that he was referring to? I don't even remember. You can check it out in the Discord and scroll on back and watch me be like, okay, sure. But as Alex said, you can join the Discord by clicking the link in the episode description. You can follow us on all the social media platforms, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Talking Smack Pod. Email us your thoughts, questions, reviews, suggestions at tsmackpod@gmail.com. If you're listening on a podcatcher, don't forget to leave a review. If you're listening on Apple Pods, please leave a review with some words. You know, let everyone know what you think about the podcast, what you like about us. Thank you to Leo Allen for our usual music themes. Thank you to Beppo and Retro Ale Studios for our avatars. Please like, subscribe, rate, review on your podcatcher of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let us know in the comments what you think about Batman Forever. If there's a nostalgia movie movie you have nostalgia for that's celebrating 30, 35, 40 years you want us to talk about, let us know. we've got a list, but maybe we can substitute something in. Alex, thank you so much for being here as always. And dear listeners, thank you so much for listening. Alex, people should be watching something. What do you think they should be watching?
Oh man, that's a tough one. There's something. It had a weird episode recently. Oh yeah, watch Star Trek.
Who loves T-Smack?
I love T-Smack. Is it true? Mm-hmm. I do. Ooh.